Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains episode summary and cast list analysis. So the 106 cast list has just come out earlier today, along with a much longer summary. Remember, the only summary that we knew going into this episode was that Roboppi was going to be dueling Ghost Girl and Blood Shepherd. That was it, but now we have a much more formal summary, we have a cast list, and we can get into the discussion and speculation of this episode. So before we begin, if you do not want any more spoilers, now is your chance to click off this video, even though I kind of just gave away some spoilers. But, I mean, that's something I've said doing these videos for 3 years. I feel like if you click on a spoiler video, you probably are fine with spoilers. I just like to give people a second chance in case they are here accidentally. But 3, 2, 1, let's begin. A big thank you to DMC, a great person who always does these translations, so huge thank you to him as always. And yeah, let's get right into it. Episode 106 is titled Fight On, Roboppi. Playmaker has made up his mind to fight against I, who is currently targeting Akira. Playmaker manages to find I, but it turns out it was just a copy I made to buy time. His allies also encounter I's copies and fight against them. Meanwhile, Blood Shepherd and Ghost Girl encounter Roboppi, who is looking for someone to fight. They then start a tag duel. So that summary is amazing. Of course, we knew nothing that there would be like copies of I and that Playmaker would actually find one of these copies, or that his allies would be finding these copies. So I imagine Go, Soulburner, maybe Revolver, even though we don't know if Revolver and Spectre and the Knights are going to be working directly with Team Zaizen, the team that we saw in the preview of 105. It is interesting to note that the bot... Well, let me get into the cast list. Yusaku, Takeru, Shoichi, Ryoken, Ai, Roboppi, Akira, Aoi, Blood Shepherd, Emma, Faust, Pandora, and extras. So there's no Spectre, but there is Revolver, and there is Pandora. And Pandora is a character that we are going to be introduced to on Wednesday's episode, tomorrow's episode, the 5th of June. And Pandora, I assume, is going to be the android that is at the end of the opening. It might not be, though. We're going to have to wait, but this is going to be a high-class artificial intelligence program that Revolver is building for the sole purpose to go after I. And whether Pandora is actually going to find the correct I or not remains to be seen, but this is something that I love that they're finally really utilizing. When Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains was first announced, and it was first announced to us that everything was going to be in the VRains, or that virtual reality was going to be a major part of this show, I really wanted them to explore the idea of fake people and these, like, maybe doing, like, crazy plot twists, and I kind of just explained it horribly. But similar to when Go was acting like a Knight of Hanoi very early on to get Playmaker to show up, how cool would it be if for, like, 2 or 3 episodes, you think you're following a certain character, but it turns out that it's a different character pretending to be that character, and it can make for a crazy plot twist if executed correctly. If, let's say, Playmaker, in this instance, is going to design himself like Akira Zaizen and go into the VRains as quote-unquote Akira to lure out I, and then Playmaker rips off the garb and it's actually Playmaker in a duel with I, or he acts like he's Akira, and then in the middle of the duel he makes that reveal, and we as the viewer think it's Akira, and then we realize, like, oh crap, this is not Akira, this is actually Playmaker. Like, little twists like that, I think would be really awesome. I'm not going to fault them too much for not taking risks on it, because I think it can get very overdone if it's done too much, or if it's executed not well enough. I think something like that can make for a really good ending of the show, where at the very end there's a big reveal like that, like, oh my god, this character was actually Revolver the whole time. Like, Pandora was actually, obviously that wouldn't be the case, but maybe someone we already know in the universe is actually Pandora, just under the guise of being this Knight of Hanoi AI. Something like that. I'm not really throwing around good ideas, but I think you guys get the gist of the direction that I would like to see them maybe explore now and then. And I think when you have a situation like virtual reality, and we know that any character can create their avatar to look like whatever they want. I mean, Aoi Zaizen has changed her avatar 2 times already. I think you could make for some really, really interesting stuff. You could have, if Revolver and the Knights were teaming up with Team Playmaker, you could have Soulburner dress up as Revolver or dress up as Pandora just to get I, if I thinks that, like, Pandora is a artificial intelligence. Oh no, it's actually Soulburner just disguised as Pandora. Like, there are really cool things that I feel like they could do with that element, and the fact that we are going to get many copies of I, which one's the real I, in this episode is really cool, because there might be a time where Playmaker actually comes across the real I, but we're not going to know. And to see I and his deck dueling all of these characters is going to be, it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited for it. I don't think we're going to see any new monsters in the Ignister archetype through these new eyes, because I feel like they're kind of saving more of his deck reveal for him to actually duel and show off his actual cards. But we'll see. And another thing that is kind of interesting about this episode is they're all fighting these I copies, but what about Roboppi? Is this actually the real Roboppi? And I think that's a fair question to be asked. If I is throwing out all of these copies to buy time for himself, and Roboppi is clearly his right-hand person right now, wouldn't this maybe be a copy of Roboppi? Would he really want to be letting Roboppi put her life on the line to duel Blood Shepherd, who's a very accomplished bounty hunter, and Ghost Girl, who's a skilled duelist in her own right? I feel like that's a risk that I might not want to take, and if they don't tell us that this is a copy of Roboppi or not, I would be fine with that. Like, if we think it's the real Roboppi, Roboppi loses, and then we learn it's a copy, I wouldn't mind that at all. But I think that's a real question you have to ask, especially given the first part of this summary. Is this going to be the real Roboppi or not? That being said, if this is the real Roboppi, Roboppi has to win, doesn't she? And keep in mind, I don't want Roboppi to win. I think that would be kind of a mistake. I think it would risk burying Blood Shepherd and Ghost Girl's character. But if Blood Shepherd and Ghost Girl defeat Roboppi, and Roboppi doesn't have a way out of the situation, won't they just kill Roboppi? Especially Blood Shepherd. Blood Shepherd will just stick out his hand and blast her head off. So, like, in that instance, they're not going to kill Roboppi off already. Maybe the second that Blood Shepherd does go through with, disintegrating Roboppi, if you will, then we learn it's a copy. That's a route they could go. I don't know. This is a very unpredictable duel. I think this is, especially now with the extra element that this could be a copy of Roboppi, I think that definitely makes it one of the hardest to call duels, probably since maybe like Soulburn or Windy. I always felt like that duel was very hard to predict and could have went either way. And this is going to be a very hard to call duel, but it is cool that it's going to be most likely a 2-on-1, unless it's set up like a 1v1v1, like Johan, Judai, and Fujiwara in Season 4 of GX was. That duel at the end of the season was realistically a 2-on-1, but technically speaking, it was a 1v1v1. In fact, there was a time where Johan even attacked Jaden, and he was allowed to do that because it was a 1v1v1, so we will have to see if this is an official tag duel, or if it's just a three-person battle royale, if you will. So my guess is that we are going to get the 107 summary, the 108 summary, probably the 109 title on June 7th, on Friday, which I will be covering, of course, in a video. And I do want to just touch on this. Please vote in the poll, by the way. I will have a poll in the top right. All you have to do is click the little I. There will be a poll that drops down, and let me know who you think is going to win this duel. I usually do show these polls on my Talkin' Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast, which I do every Saturday at 3 p.m. on the channel. So if you want to make your opinion heard, please. I love hearing from you guys. I love analyzing what the community thinks. And yeah, it'll be a tough duel to pick, but I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say. The final point I will make is it seems like Playmaker is going to be finding these copies of I. I think Playmaker versus I is very close to happening. And if Playmaker versus I am a huge proponent of this. If Playmaker versus I happens before the end of, let's say, August, if it happens before the end of August, then I think Playmaker will lose, and I think I will win. Now, if the first duel between these guys happens way down the road in like November, December, I think it'll be maybe too late in the show for Playmaker to lose and then bounce back, and I goes through with his plans, and then the rematch would be kind of quick after that, since we're assuming the show is going to end in March of 2020, although there is no confirmation on that yet. But the fact that they are going to have at least some sort of dialogue, even if it's just one way, Playmaker talking to this lemon of I that isn't even speaking. We don't know how the copies are going to act, if they're going to have personalities or if they're just going to look like I. We don't know if I will be able to talk through them, which would be really cool if it's actually I that's like controlling all of them and he's talking through them and like taunting each person, knowing that he's got nothing to lose lose in the moment because it's not actually him. That would actually be really cool if they go that route. But we might get some dialogue between Playmaker and I to some degree in this episode, and that just tells me that these two are close to meeting up and having their first duel. And if that duel happens early enough, I really do think that Playmaker might get his first loss. But guys, I am really excited for 106. I'm really excited for 105, which airs tomorrow. It looks like it's going to be a plot episode. And please let me know all your thoughts down below on 106, on your predictions for this duel, and what you think about this whole I copy thing. If you like it, if you think it might get a little confusing, and let me know if you think this is actually going to be Roboppi or if it's going to be a version of her, a copy of her. Excited to hear from all of you, as always, down below. A special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons, Alexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, James Rose, Samuel Stark, Thomas Adderley, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, Vincent Van Der Veen, Brian Ford, and Rexkentrix, and to my Diamond tier patrons, Jesse Wood and Garrett Palmer, and to my Egyptian God tier patron, Chris Swan. A huge thank you to everyone who supports me over on Patreon. I cannot thank you guys enough. I cannot tell you how much it helps out the channel, and a huge thank you to everyone who just watches these videos, because without you guys, I would not be able to do this. Thank you all so much for watching. I will talk to you down below in the comment section, and I hope you have an amazing day